For question 5, I have to write a couple of methods. Whenever I'm writing methods, especially on an exam when I'm a little bit under pressure, I like to circle things and label them. So receives, remember, anything that talks about receives, given is another word. All of these mean parameter. Okay. Receives 3 variables of type int, returns the integer average of the 3. Okay. So that gives me enough to write my method header. Public static void, nope, public static int, because this says returns the integer. Then comes the name. It says it receives 3 variables of type int. It doesn't say what to name them, so I'm just going to pick A, int B, and int C. Fortunately, we had this exact question on a lab, so it's a little bit familiar to my mind. And then here we go. I know at the end I'm going to have to return something. If I thought I might forget that piece, I'm just going to put it in while I'm thinking of it, and then I'll fill this piece in later. I'm going to need to calculate the average, and so I could actually do this all in one line, but I think I'll do it in a couple lines to make it a little bit more clear. In average, and we'll just say equals A plus B plus C. I want to make sure that addition happens first, divided by 3. Since it's the integer average, I don't really have to put a 3.0 here, and then I'm just going to return, oops, I think I'm going to have to retype that one, or rewrite it, return AVG. I could also write return A plus B plus C divided by 3, and I wouldn't even have to use the AVG variable, but if this is a method where there is more things going on, like there will be in part B, I like to have a variable for it because it makes it a little bit more clean. Okay, so now I have an average finding method. Let me page down here. Part B says write a method. Okay, so I have to write a method named sum below average. Here's 3 parameters. Whenever you see the word receives or given or anything like that, that means these are parameters, and returns the sum. Returns the sum of any of the parameters that are below the average of the 3. Okay, so I'm going to think about that complication in a minute. First, I'm going to get the method header written, because then at least I can get some points for that. So it looks like I'm returning the sum, and I'm getting 3 integers, therefore I'm going to be returning an int as well. So this is going to be another public static int. Here's the name of it. And now here's my keyword receives, alerting me that I'm going to be taking 3 ints. Int A, int B, and int C. Okay. Give myself some more room to work here. I'll have plenty of space, so I'm going to use it. Okay, so this says returns the sum of any of the parameters that are below the average of the 3. So I have to do 2 things. I have a sum going on, and I have to know the average. So I need to calculate the average. And it says, in this method, you should call the method that I define in part A. Okay, so if I need to calculate the average, let me do that. I'm also going to need the sum, so I'll start that at 0. And then I'll need some kind of average. And to do that, I'm going to call my find average method, which I just wrote in part A, and pass those 3 variables in there. So now I will go through and look at each one and add them to the sum, and add each one to the sum if it's below the average one. So let's try that. I could use the loop for this. In fact, that might be a good idea. Let's do that. there's 3 of them, so I know what my loop condition is going to be. I know we're going to go from 0 to 2. Oh, actually, I guess I can't really use loop because there's just 3 variables, so never mind. I'm already in array land, but can't do that. Too bad. Not possible. Okay. If A is less than, let's see, below the average of the 3. Sum plus equals A. Oh, I see why I wrote this question. Now that I'm doing it again. I was thinking, what was I trying to get at when I wrote this question? I see. I'll tell you in a sec. Can't talk. Working. Can't talk coding. Okay. I'm running out of room, so let me draw some arrows. Get rid of that one. Then I will return the sum. And then I will put my bracket. Okay, so the reason that I wrote this question into the practice test was to show you, make sure you understand what the difference between if and else if is. So these are 3 different tests that don't have to deal with each other, right? So if you pass this test for A, you still need to test B. So although most of the programs that we've written so far have these chained together with else if you chained these together with else if in this example, it would be wrong. Because if you as soon as you went into one of these if statements, if you had chained the rest of them with else, it would skip the other 2, which is not what you want. So it's very important for this situation, when each of these tests is independent of each other, that these are not chained together with else if. That is question 5.